have you been recording this whole time? Video?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just turn off the...
What's your, oh, crap.
You want any water?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
I'm a little concerned that we might be judging how well the show does based off of the reaction we're getting from X-Ray FM, and I'm a little concerned that the audience listenership of X-Ray might be smaller than we think. I know they're going to tell us, oh, we have the broadband for 500,000 people, but this is really how much are listening. And
Yeah, I mean, and I can understand, and that's why you want to get this show out to as many other sources as possible. I believe that. I mean, there are plenty of places we can go and see exactly what X-Ray's coverage area is. We can see what the coverage area is. We can see how many people are in that coverage area. We can see how many people are listening to X-Ray, what time of day. So it's not. I mean, it's not hard information to find.
When you listened to our show on the radio, was it clear and crisp?
It was. It was. So. Okay, ready?
Do we want to do a quick mic check, or you feel confident it's good?
I think we're good.
We are ready to record.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Welcome to Country Dog, City Dog.
I'm Don Merrill.
And I'm Kevin Levy, and today we have a great topic: living a healthy lifestyle. And is there even a divide when it comes to wanting to live longer and healthier?
Well, I think it depends on, first of all, how that person lives their life. Like, what kind of health habits do they have? How's their emotional well-being? And then that might translate into where they are, whether it's in the rural environment or in the urban environment. Because you can live well in both places.
Right. I feel there is a divide. Even though everyone wants to live a longer and healthier lifestyle, there's a divide, and some of that divide is where we get our information from. It's not always the same. And who do we listen to? The politicians, the news source, social media. And let me just give a quick example. Gas stoves. The Economist did a study, and they found that when it came to gas stoves and the potential of, it's been floated out about banning gas stoves and the health hazards they possess, the risk of, that Republicans had stronger pushback from wanting to ban the gas stoves compared to the Democrats that felt like absolutely not. I just completely fucked that up.
If you want to start over?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I kind of said some backward stuff.
Yeah, what did you want to say?
I think I said it right, but then I said one word wrong, and then in my mind, as I was talking, I'm like, I think I said everything backwards. And then I'm like, maybe I didn't. And
Right.
it was just, I got convoluted
Okay.
briefly.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Let me know when you're ready.
Welcome to Country Dog, City Dog. My name is Kevin Levy.
My name's Don Merrill.
And today's topic, we are going to discuss living a healthy lifestyle. And is there even a divide when it comes to wanting to live a healthier and longer lifestyle? Doesn't everybody want that?
Yeah, everybody wants it. I think that whether or not you're able to live a healthy lifestyle depends first in part on what kind of life you're living as an individual. You know, what are your health habits? You know, what are your vices? What's your frame of mind? You know, are you emotionally happy wherever you are? Because you can live a healthy lifestyle in the country or in the city.
Right. I feel a lot of this has to do with where we get our information from. Who are we listening to? What type of social media? And
okay, so you're talking about not only emotional, I'm thinking more physical, but you're talking physical and emotional.
Absolutely, all types. Living a healthy lifestyle goes beyond just physical, mental and emotional.
Okay.
But let's just give an example right now. The Economist did a study, and they found that the proposal to ban gas stoves was getting stronger pushback from Republicans, many of whom live in the rural areas compared to their Democratic counterparts who lived in urban areas. I feel this, like, the proposal to ban gas stoves, in my view, needs to be treated like cigarettes. Don't ban it, just give people a choice. Either remove the gas stoves or don't. It should be a choice. Why is there even a culture war on such a proposal in the first place?
I can sort of see your point on that one, because it's like, I can remember back, bringing in another example, back during the Johnson administration, there was a proposal to tax people when they bought a new television or a radio. And the point of that was to fund this new organization called the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which was the thing that supports public radio and public television. Well, the Republicans in the Johnson Congress at the time pushed back on that, because they said, people shouldn't have to be forced to pay for something that is so integral to their lives. They shouldn't have to be forced to pay a separate tax. And manufacturers were perfectly happy levying that tax, because they could then raise the prices of their TVs and radios. And there was no real benefit, because CPB since then has found ways to support itself financially, and everything kind of worked out fine. So the thing about supporting the legislation to ban gas stoves because they are environmentally hazardous or whatever, I'm not sure I understand what that's about.
They're saying that it's bad for the climate. It's adding more effects that are damaging the climate. It's also having an effect on being in the house when you're turning on your gas stove. The people that are living there have higher rates of asthma and other health-related issues because you are burning gas inside of your stove. And some people live in very small 600 square foot houses or condos, and they are having to breathe in those toxins. And it gets pushed back from some, but some are proposing to ban it. And
well, the thing I don't understand is, like, when the auto industry switched from when the auto industry decided to walk down the path from gasoline-powered cars to electric cars, there was a transition, and the transition was the hybrid car. So, people have had, 10 or 15 years to transition from only gas-powered cars to gas/battery-powered cars, and now electric cars are coming out. People had plenty of time to make that transition. This thing about gas stoves, it seemed to have been bam!
right.
We're going to switch like right now. And I think that people should also have the right to say, okay, I'll transition, but give me time. I love cooking on my gas stove, and you can be sure that the people who make those big, really fancy gas stoves, and people who want to equip their houses with those big fancy gas stoves and those really big, beautiful restaurant-style kitchens, they are not in a hurry to switch to an electric or induction oven.
Yeah, you just got to give people a choice. In my view, overall, if they want to cook on them gas stoves, let them go. It was this brings me to another point. I remember when I was driving through Prineville and through Roseburg, and I remember having a very difficult time finding organic health food stores, finding stores that focus on health foods and specifically organic. And I couldn't understand why, and I understand cost has something to do with it, but why do rural areas focus less on health alternatives? Is it where they get the information from about healthy living? Is it cost? Is there a reason why you live in a rural area, Don? Tell me why. And you might have a lot of organic stores near you, but why is there
Not a lot of organic stores, but a lot of natural stores, a lot of vegetable stands, a lot of fruit stands. It's like, I consider myself a fairly well-read guy, and a lot of the times, a lot of the organic stuff seems to me to be manufactured, whereas I can go to a fruit stand and get an apple, and I don't have to eat a supplement that has apple protein in it. I can eat an apple, you
Right.
know? And so I think that people who live in the rural environments, and I can't say this is true for everybody, but I think that people who live in the rural environment, they're like, I wake up connected to nature every day. I don't need to go to an organic store and read something with a certified organic stamp on it from the federal government to feel like I'm eating something organic. And I think that a lot of times, you see stuff that has gone through the vetting process, and you just wonder, like, well, how much is that part of the price, and how much of it is really pure, and how much is this company vetted, and where does this stuff come from? Whereas if I go to Albecky's fruit stand in Beaver Creek, I know where that stuff came from. It came out of the ground behind the building.
Right, right. One thing I love about rural communities is many of those families are just growing their gardens in their backyard. Most rural families own a lot of land and a lot of space to grow their produce and raise their chickens and have a healthy diet. I will say this.
And you live in the city, Kevin, and you've got chickens.
Yes.
There are chickens right outside that window right there.
There are chickens. You might hear the cluck cluck occasionally, and they are. We got some brown and white chickens, chicken eggs that are coming up every day. But I wanna tell a little story. So, I grew up in Los Angeles when I was a kid, and I've been an organic vegetable gardener for as long as I can remember. Actually, I remember it was 12. So. I remember that, and I remember somewhere in my late teens or early 20s, I came home and I wanted to cook dinner for the family, but I also knew that my mom and dad did not care about organics. They didn't care where they got the lettuce. As long as it was lettuce, they knew that they were eating healthy. But I was always a strong advocate for eating organic, and they didn't care. So I wanted to show a test. So what I did is I went to the fridge and I got a head of lettuce, and my family was there in the kitchen, including my brother and sister. And with the head of lettuce in hand, I walked over to the sink, opened up the cabinet underneath the sink, and got some poison bug powder. And then I sprinkled the powder onto the lettuce. And my mom and dad were like, "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." And then I walked over to the sink and I took the sprayer and I washed it off. And I'm like, "All right, it's all good. We're gonna use this." They're like, "Absolutely not. Throw that lettuce away now. I can't believe you just poured bug poison all over that. We're just getting ready to eat that." And I was like, "Folks, listen. This is exactly what you are doing when you are not eating organic. They are spraying with who knows what, all these chemicals to prevent the bugs from eating your food or prevent a fungus from eating away at your produce. And you're okay with that. If it's out of sight, then it's out of mind, and it's okay." And that was.
I'm sure you just won your family over with that example.
Oh, right away they're like, "I got your points," and they still.
Seriously, that's what they said?
I don't remember. I was like, this was like 20 years
Yeah,
ago.
you don't remember.
But I will say this: they still made me throw away that head of lettuce.
Yeah.
They would not eat it, and
I sent you to your room.
I wasn't that young.
Slide your food under the door.
Yeah. So the importance of living a healthy lifestyle. One of the things, in my view, is eating organic, because we have no idea is what is being sprayed on our produce, on our vegetables. The things like bananas and oranges, where you can peel away And
Okay, so wait, are you saying that the example I gave earlier where I say I went to the food stand and got my food, you're saying that that is not a good way to get your food because I don't know how they treated that food before I got it?
That's not at all what I'm saying. That is not at all what I'm saying.
Okay.
I am saying that hopefully if they are growing produce and they are selling it, that it needs to be labeled if it's organic or if they are spraying it. I hope to believe that a lot of the farmers out there are not, but I have many friends that live out in Corbett and even in Medford on large parcels of land, and they complain that the farmers that live like a few blocks away that own several acres of land, that they see these tractors just spraying this heavy mist on all of their produce, and the mist sometimes covers the windshields of their car. And do you want to be eating that?
I think that the people who live in the rural environments, the rural communities, they're feeling like we know what's on our food. We grow it. We know what our neighbors do to our food because we buy it. So I think, and maybe that's a stereotype. Maybe they don't really know, or maybe they tell themselves what they think they know when, they're just trying to, preserve their own life, their own lifestyle, their own way of living. I mean, I can understand that. So, okay, so we've talked about gas stoves, we've talked about organic food, and one other thing about organic food, people who live in the city, they may have a very high trust of organic food because it is certified by the government, because the government does provide that it's not sprayed with insecticides or, uses harsh fertilizers or harsh chemicals. So I can certainly see the benefit of buying organic, eating organic, and supporting foods that are labeled organic, that are certified organic. I can see the benefit of that. Again, it's one of those issues where whether you are living in the country or whether you are living in the city, you have a reason for doing what you do. I wanted to talk a little bit about the lifestyle choices itself. Like, what are some of the pros of people living in a rural environment? Some of the pros are, the cost of living. Usually it costs less to live there. There's more affordable housing. There's more space, more proximity to nature, a slower paced lifestyle for sure, and you get to know your neighbors. Those are some of the advantages. Some of the disadvantages in general, there aren't many jobs in the rural environment. I mean, unless you can work remotely, it's really kind of hard to find a job that's going to support the life that you want to live out there, because the cost of living is lower than the urban environment, but it's not that much lower. There's fewer businesses to work, so fewer opportunities for jobs. Access to utilities is kind of a big thing. Like for people who do want to work remotely, a lot of has been made of how the broadband is not as accessible in some of the rural areas as it is in some of the urban areas. I know I live in Beaver Creek. I have gone through T-Mobile, AT&T, Cricket, and I know some of them are subsets of the others, but the telephone service out there for cell phones is terrible.
Sure.
And wanting to get more than 10 megabit speed uploads and download speeds for Wi-Fi and for cable, it's ridiculous. It's like stuff stops and freezes all the time. And finally the lack of public transportation.
Sure.
Which is what one of our earlier episodes talked about. It's like if you live out in the urban environment, unless you have a car, the rural environment, unless you have a car, there aren't too many other ways that you can get from one point to another. Those small towns may not even have a mass transit system to take you where you want to go in town, let alone going back and forth between towns.
Right. Interesting. Other topics of living, segueing off of what you're talking about, of leading a healthy lifestyle, is the National Cancer Institute found that of the many types of cancers, that rural communities, people that live in rural areas, have a lot higher rate of getting cancer than folks that live in urban areas. Why we should all equally be living a healthy lifestyle. The government should be equally helping people, giving them the education, giving them the knowledge to live a healthier lifestyle. But for whatever reason, and I'm guessing rural residents are more likely to be physically inactive or have unhealthy diets or...
Wait. Why would you assume that?
Well, based off of the National Cancer Institute is what I read.
But I think one of the reasons why, as far as cancer rates, I think one reason might be because, if we're talking rural, we might be talking farmers. And if we're talking farmers, we're talking about people who use pesticides, Roundup, and it's been reported that Roundup has been a really high contributor to cancer.
Is Roundup part of Monsanto?
I think it is. I'm not sure. But what I am saying is that, pesticide use, chemical use for farms and fertilizers, feed, insecticides, that kind of stuff, has been shown to contribute to higher incidence of all kinds of diseases, not just cancer. Also, I think that people in rural environments, I'm not necessarily sure that they live a less active lifestyle than people who live in the city. Because, by nature, living in a rural community means there are a lot of things you have to do for yourself that you don't always have the convenience of being able to call somebody in to do for you, right?
Rural communities, I believe, tend to be slightly older as well, so that might have something to do with it.
That might have something to do with it, but I also think that those communities tend to be more independent, and so they end up doing a lot of stuff themselves that they wouldn't normally have to do if they lived in the city.
Sure.
So I'm not sure about the less active than urban people part.
Again, it might have to do with, I believe they found that there are more cigarette smokers in rural communities, and I don't know why, but obesity is more common in rural communities, and this is the study that they have found. Regarding another study from the Center of Disease Control Prevention, a study has found that they looked at the top 15 states with the highest life expectancy are almost all Democratic states, whereas almost the bottom 15 with the lowest life expectancy are almost, not all, there are some sprinkled in that are almost all Republican-led states. And why is there this discrepancy? There shouldn't be. States like Mississippi and Arkansas and Alabama and Tennessee and West Virginia, which are at the bottom of the list, based off the Center for Disease Control Prevention, they're getting the same information that we are getting, or are they? What is going on? Where is that gap?
Well, I also think that, again, telling people I'm going to educate you is like the quickest way to get people to turn off, because the last thing some folks in some communities need is somebody from the city looking at them saying, "Oh, we need to help you live a better life."
Sure.
And they, in the end, people make their own choice. I mean, I know that people complain all the time about the nanny state, right? People of a certain political persuasion complain all the time about the nanny state. Government's always trying to tell me how to live. Government's always trying to tell me what to do. Personally, I have a lot of faith in government, but I can understand when people say, "Oh, the government is trying to tell me what to do," because I can also read, and I can also read history, and I know that the government has really screwed up a lot when it comes to trying to tell people how they should live.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't work. I mean, we live in a democracy, and people should be able to make their choices. And I think one of the reasons why some of these studies look at the problems and offer solutions is because the country wants to give everybody an equal chance to live a good life.
Sure.
But sometimes people they make other choices for their own reasons, and sometimes the reasons may be practical, and sometimes they may just be stubborn.
Could be. It could be. Living a healthy lifestyle. That topic alone, we can go on forever on discussing ways to live a healthy lifestyle. Not necessarily the point for this conversation, but a couple things that that have been bothering me on ways to live a healthy lifestyle are internal factors, things that we digest, foods with high nitrates and chemicals inside the food that we are unsure of, things that we put on top of our body, on our skin. I know people that put lotions and underarm deodorant and lipstick and makeup and things that, if you look at the ingredients of all these items that you're putting on your skin, your body's like a sponge and it is soaking in every one of those chemicals. Look at the ingredients, and if you cannot pronounce those words, just know that all of those chemicals are floating in your bloodstream.
But Kevin, you're saying that like only people in the city use lipstick and underarm deodorant and skin lotion. I mean, people in the country, people in rural communities buy that stuff and use that stuff too. I mean, it's not like...
I agree 100%. My friend from the city, my closest friend, I had to, watch. She just recently died of cancer, and it was so sad to hear. She was my childhood friend, and I remember something that has struck me, and this is why I'm so passionate about health. This was a couple years ago. She passed away, but I visited her when she was in the hospital doing chemo. At first, she did not want to do chemo. She tried doing alternative medicines, but unfortunately, it just grew from stage 3 to stage 4, her cancer. I remember walking in to the chemo labs and looking around, and I just see of 30 and 40 and 50-year-olds hooked up to these devices, these machines, and I was just blown away. I was expecting my 42-year-old friend to be the youngest one there in a room full of older people that are more likely, and I just couldn't believe that all these beautiful young 30 and 40-year-olds were having cancer, and the look of their eyes, the sadness that was in their eyes, knowing they're in stage 3 and stage 4 cancer, that they're probably, hopefully, gonna make it, but probably not, the impact it has on their families.
So are you talking,
friends.
so then, by telling that story, are you trying to make reference to the fact that lifestyle choices that lead to bad health outcomes can be avoided with more education? I mean, is that
Absolutely.
what you're saying? So then, I guess what I'm saying is, if these were relatively young people, they made these choices early in life. It's not like they were suffering from the consequences of their choices later in life. It's not like they were like 50, 60, 70.
Right.
Now these are 20, 30, 40. So what do you do? I mean, how do you educate people to make the kind of choices, that you would think would be beneficial to them, when they have agency? I mean, they can make the choices when they're old, they can make the choices when they're young. I mean, it doesn't sound like education is really the issue, is it? I mean, or is it?
It is. Listening to Country Dog, City Dog more often might help out. Nah, I'm just joking. So, or am I?
No, he's not.
I'm not. So, education absolutely plays a huge part. If I would have, I remember being in health class growing up. I don't remember necessarily right now the subjects we covered, but in health class, I know the stuff that we put in our body or on our body, or how mental illnesses, anxieties, and stress and depression are killers. Also, we never learned about that. We never learned about the carcinogens inside of lunch meats and hot dogs. We didn't learn about the toxins and the smogs that we're breathing in and how that can affect respiratory diseases. There's just so much.
I know, Kevin, there is so much. I mean, we got 5 minutes and 41 seconds
Right.
to talk about. I mean, it's like, it's not just environmental factors. It's not just what we face from the food and cosmetics industry. It's not just what we face from crime and law enforcement. It's not just what we face from where we live versus the city milieu versus the rural milieu. I mean, there's so much, and having a healthy lifestyle, whether you live in the city or the country, really depends on so many factors. I don't even know how to delineate between them. I mean, we could speak in generalities, but in the end, you always say this thing at the end that says better communication leads to, what is it? What do you say?
How about this? When people are healthier, they're more, I know this is my optimistic self, but when people are healthier, they're less depressed, they have less tension, less anxiety, so they're more able to have easier dialogue back and forth when there's more communication, because if I'm feeling good, then I want to talk and I want to hear. I want to see what's going on. But if I'm full of anxiety and I'm depressed or I'm sick internally, I don't want to hear what you have to say, because I'm thinking about myself. I'm going to be grumpy, and I'm not I'm not feeling it, and I'm not calling the urban or the rural or suburban the grumpy folks. I'm just saying folks as a whole, they could, when you're leading a healthy lifestyle, you're gonna overall want to communicate more. And once again, communication is the key. And that is where I could bring it to.
But how do they, but see, the question is, how do they get there? How do they get there? How do they pull one thing out of that pot of mess? There was a famous monk. Was it Saint? Oh, I can't think of his name now. But anyway, he had 4 tenets to living a good life, and one of them was, if you do one thing well, you will eventually do everything well. So, you know, for someone who wants to try to live a healthy lifestyle, I guess maybe one of the things they could do is pick something. They could say, okay, well, if I'm not living a healthy lifestyle for a number of reasons, what's one thing that I can do right now? I can choose to eat better. I can not eat that bag of potato chips. Or if I come home every day and I go through this traffic jam at the same time every day, maybe I can use Google Maps to send me another way where I don't deal with traffic. Maybe it'll take longer, but maybe I'll feel better when I get home. I mean, it's like unfortunately, it's not like we're so used to the fast answer. We're so used to read the 7 things you can do to improve your life, or take this pill, or watch this video. It's like, you know, in 10,000 years, it's never been that easy for us, and it's never going to be that easy for us. We have to do the work. So I think that maybe instead of relying on the government to fix us, you know, I mean, the government certainly has a role. The government certainly can help ensure domestic tranquility, which is one of the things the government is supposed to do, whatever that means. But we have a hand in that. Sure. We have a responsibility. Like, for instance, in my own life, I know that 99% of the problems that I have ever experienced in my life are my fault. I know that. So it's like, I'm not going to sit around blaming somebody else for my problems. I try to fix my problems. And if I don't fix my problems, then I try to live with my problems. But either way, I'm not going to be blaming somebody else. But that doesn't mean there aren't bad people out there who want to do me harm, who want to set me back. I'm not ignorant to that either. So part of the way that I try to live a healthy lifestyle is to acknowledge that I have to take responsibility for the things that are within my ability to take responsibility for. So if I want to start feeling better, maybe I don't eat that bag of potato chips. If I want less stress, maybe I pick a different route. You know, there's all kinds of things you can do.
You know, great points. And I want to bring it to you, the listener. We want to hear, what are you doing to lead a healthy lifestyle? What can you do? What can you change to live a healthier, happier lifestyle? You know, we invite you to go to countrydogcitydog.fm and write to us and share us your thoughts. And we would love to read them on air if it's okay with you. countrydogcitydog.fm, and tell us your views on living a healthy lifestyle, and can that actually help bring people together? Is there even a divide when it comes to wanting to live a healthy lifestyle? Does everyone already have the same mentality? Do we already feel the same, or do you feel there really is a divide? It would be great to know.
You know, I mean, there are all kinds of places. There are all kinds of places that can be respites for you. Like if you want to get closer to nature and you live in the city, you know, there are urban gardens you can go to. You know, the Humane Society is always looking for people to help walk and take care of animals, and animals have been shown to reduce stress. So, I mean, there are ways to help put yourself on a better path. So we're just saying,